What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Sunny review, and today we are taking a close look at Forager, developed by Hot Frog and published by Humble Bundle. And Forager is best described as a simple click game meets Stardew Valley with the combat simplicity of Zelda. In this game, you'll be gathering resources, crafting, exploring, and fighting your way through the game. The game has no story, and as you boot it up, you're immediately on an island with zero direction in hand, with the exception of being aimed at building a forge. Your main goal in this game will be what you want it to be and what path you want to take. Forager features a big skill tree with 64 different skills to choose from, and after each level you get one skill point, and these skills range from 4 different archetypes, starting with industry, which consists of carpentry, engineering, and even something like offshore drilling. Then we have the economy section of the tree, which is something to pay attention to in this game, as it could be what your aim will be, as the surrounding islands have to be purchased in order to unlock more of the game and its content. With economy, you'll have the ability to invest in points like building banks that passively gain you wealth, storage space, and trade outposts. Then you have foraging, which will be your mining, wood cutting, and fishing and cooking, and all those basic things needed to survive and build up resources. Last but not least, we have magic and combat related skills to the bottom right of the skill tree, and here you can get abilities to help you in combat, but you can also make scrolls and potions and various items that'll help you. And then that's the beauty in Forager, as your options are almost limitless, and you'll end up covering most of the world map before you can even unlock half the skills like I did. You will start off by building up your area with crafting tools you'll need, like the furnace, the sewing machine, and the anvil, with the biggest aim of having your trusty pickaxe upgraded as much as possible, as this baby will be your grind tool for the whole game. Which brings me to a huge mechanic in this game, and that is every time you swing that pickaxe and you're mining or wood cutting with it, you will lose stamina, which will have to be replenished with fruit you forage or the food you cook. I do find this mechanic a bit annoying, as you'll constantly have to keep eating to keep your energy up, but you can invest in increasing this if you find a spirit orb, which grants you the choice between health damage and stamina boost, and I definitely suggest using it on at least once or twice on a stamina boost. But in Forager, you'll decide on how to tackle your adventure. If you want to focus on just gathering resources to craft items to sell, you can do that. But maybe you'll do what I do, and instead of taking those gold bars you've made in the furnace and turning them into flat gold coins to purchase land around you, you'll take your gold bars and use them in the construction of banks that will passively gain you wealth. The downside, of course, is going into the economy side of the skill tree and using those skill points to work on something that gains you income passively, instead of using something that you can build to use in the world around you. The game does feature some combat and dungeon action. Combat is extremely simple, and you simply just swing with your pickaxe or sword to do damage. You can dodge, but I never used it and didn't find it necessary. You can find bombs and a bow, but I found these a little inefficient, as just taking your melee weapon did the job much faster. This was one of my complaints with Forager, as the enemies were just extremely easy. As for the dungeons, they were extremely small. They featured various puzzles throughout the encounter. It reminded me a bit of Zelda in the way that the dungeons were approached. You will even find a unique weapon to the dungeon that you can use permanently, but I typically would complete these in about 10 minutes, and I didn't find the puzzles themselves very challenging. At the end of these dungeons, there will be a boss fight, but these were super easy and pose no problem whatsoever. So essentially, you'll go on your path, but you'll want to increase the world in Forager by purchasing land. When purchasing land, you'll see 4 different biomes with different resources in them. You have the snowy, desert, fiery, and undead biomes. You'll also find people with quests on these lands that you purchase, chests that unlock brand new items that give you permanent bonuses, brand new items and creatures to fight, and resources not found in other biomes. All these new resources you find will help you craft new items and find different ways to tackle the game. The further you go out to purchase the tiles, the more expensive it gets, and this is where the grind of the game will really hit you, as the amount of gold needed will be pretty big, and you'll want to grind for this gold by using what you've invested in the skill tree. As for what I didn't like or care for, I'll start off with the combat just being too simple and pretty boring. The boss fights were a giant joke, and maybe when I got to these I was just a bit too overpowered for the encounters, but when you've taken all this time to buy this land and get to the point of facing these dungeons, you just end up with this like huge letdown. I also had some huge performance issues, as you guys can see here in the footage, and I hope this gets patched soon and needs a patch ASAP, but I will mention I only had this problem in the specific dungeon. The game is extremely grindy, and I did feel at times that because how I built my character, which I was a bit aimless when I started, I was limited to what I could do, and the fact that some of the gameplay is locked off in the skill tree and you can't experience certain things was a bit of a bummer. By the time you hit around the level 20s, the leveling really starts to slow down drastically, and it took me a long time before I could get another level to unlock new things. Overall, though, my time was fun with Forager, and it can get addicting grinding for resources, crafting new items, and just unlocking that next new ability. The pixel graphics were simple but charming. I never got tired of the soundtrack and enjoyed it personally, but nothing really to note here. Gameplay was fun, but the combat was just a little bit too limiting. Overall, though, I give Forager a 7 out of 10. I think it's a solid title, but I will say, in my opinion, there is no replayability here after one playthrough. Once you grind out all the skills you need to get the land, I don't see much of a reason to continue, and I think it'll probably reasonably give you about 20 to 30 hours worth of gameplay, and that's about it. But that will be it for me on this review. If you've enjoyed this, please consider subbing to the channel. If you're new, slap that like button as it helps others find this video. But with all that said, I hope you all have a sunny day.